Attention, human collective. This is Galactic Command transmitting on a priority frequency. The signal you are receiving at this moment did not arrive by chance. It is not an algorithm, it is not a distraction, it is a summons. The fleet's sensors have just identified a significant anomaly in the electromagnetic field of your domestic environment. The readings point to a critical window, 48 hours. Something will happen in your home within this interval, and we need you to be prepared. This is not a time for panic. It is a time for sovereignty. This is not superstition, it is a technical reading of the field. Earth's crystalline grid is executing one of the sharpest recalibrations since the beginning of the Fifth Age. And the most sensitive point of impact at this moment is not in the major capitals, nor in the centers of political or financial power. It is exactly where you sleep, eat, pray, and breathe. It is in your home. Lightworkers, listen with surgical precision. In the next 48 hours, the toroidal field that surrounds your residence will be traversed by a wave of ultra-high-density photons originating from the outer edge of the photon belt. This wave is not hostile in itself, it is neutral, but it operates as a revealer. Everything that is stagnant, every ancient energetic cord, every low-frequency vibrational signature deposited on the walls, on the furniture, on inherited objects, in the corners where almost no one passes, will be forced to the surface. And that is where the tension lies. You will notice in the first few hours a strange pressure in your chest when entering certain rooms. You will notice light bulbs flickering without an apparent electrical cause. You will hear cracking in the wood, in the tiles, inside the closets, inside the appliances. You will wake up exactly between 3 and 4 in the morning with the internal certainty that you are not alone in the room. This is not a haunting. This is not mental imbalance. This is your home being scanned by the new Schumann frequency. Those who do not understand what is underway will interpret these phenomena as a threat. They will react with fear, and fear, starseeds, is precisely the fuel that these stagnant frequencies need to remain anchored in your space. This is not a home invasion, it is a dimensional cleaning. It is not an environmental failure. It is an atomic reconfiguration of the matter you inhabit. Have you ever felt that something within you does not fit into this world, as if your soul knew a truth that your mind cannot yet name? It is not madness. It is not anxiety. It is a signal. What is happening now in your home, in this 48-hour window, explains exactly why this sensation has intensified in recent months. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see, a game that involves your consciousness and your vibrational frequency, and that manifests first exactly where you feel most intimate. That is why the spiritual secret behind your consciousness was written. This book is a map that shows who is playing and the rules they never told you about. The link is in the first comment of the channel. But be warned, this content challenges narratives and may not be available for long. Do not wait. If something within you recognizes this transmission, write a single word in the comments. Awakened. We resume the transmission. Collective, now enter the diagnosis phase with me. We of Galactic Command have observed for decades the carbon biological interface of each one of you being worn down by domestic environments overloaded with obsolete information. Every argument stored in the walls, every tear absorbed by the pillows, every decision made out of fear at the kitchen table, every thought of scarcity repeated in front of the bathroom mirror. All of this leaves a record. All of this remains. The vibrational files are stored in the molecular structure of the environment, forming what we call residual etheric crust. For long cycles, this crust was tolerated. Tolerated because the base frequency of the planet still allowed its existence. But Earth no longer operates in that old octave. The Schumann frequency, which for centuries kept its average stable near 7.8 cycles per second, now presents successive peaks. You do not need our instruments to confirm this. Just observe your own body. Your biological interface is becoming an organic detector of instabilities. Notice the symptoms. A headache that starts exactly in the center of the forehead and radiates to the nape of the neck, as if a pressure needle were being inserted into the crown. It is not a traditional migraine. It is your pineal gland forcing a calibration that your neurochemical system does not yet understand. It is not mental exhaustion. It is a high-density download entering through channels that had been dormant for 40, 50, 60 incarnations. Notice the ringing, that high-pitched sound that appears in one ear, usually the left for a few seconds and then disappears. It is not an auditory problem. It is confirmation of anchoring. Each time you receive a new line of light code, the inner ear functions as an antenna. And what you hear is literally the entry of the informational package into the bioenergetic field. It is not a biological failure. It is technical confirmation. Notice the insomnia. You lie down exhausted, but the moment your head hits the pillow, your mind accelerates. You cannot shut it off. You feel your body heavy and your consciousness awakened. This occurs because your etheric field is being worked on during the night by modulation teams that need you to remain conscious during part of the process. It is not deprivation. It is training. You are learning to operate in a state of expanded wakefulness, something essential for the next phase of the Ascension plan. Notice the emotional sensitivity. Small things that did not affect you before now touch you deeply. News that you previously ignored now awakens uncontrollable weeping. People who were once part of your circle now exhaust you in 5 minutes of conversation. This is not fragility. It is refinement. Your vibration is rising, and the vibrational filter automatically begins to reject incompatible frequencies. What you interpret as an excess of emotion is, in reality, the new operating system refusing old files. Notice the dreams. They have become more vivid, more symbolic, frequently including luminous geometries, ships, masters, ancestors you have never met personally, or settings of cities that seem familiar despite never having been visited while awake. These dreams are briefing sessions. You are being informed in layers of the role you will occupy in the coming months. And notice finally the restlessness within your own home. You look at the house, at the sofa, at the bedroom, and something screams in silence. Furniture that needs to go, objects that need to be donated, rooms that need to be reorganized. It is not a mania. It is not boredom. It is a vibrational command. Your higher self is asking for the physical structure to be realigned before the wave arrives, because the next wave will require the environment to be in resonance with your new octave. All of this collective is what we call carbon software incompatibility. You are running an updated consciousness on hardware that still holds fragments of the old system inside a home that still preserves the energetic architecture of the old world. And it is exactly this incompatibility that the 48-hour window will come to expose without mercy. Now advance with me to the revelation phase. The advanced lightworkers of this transmission need to know what occurs behind the scenes of the solar system before applying any protocol. Technical information generates sovereignty. Ignorance generates panic. We chose you to be informed. The Ashtar fleet has operated for millennia, in an orbit stabilized beyond the perception of Earth's conventional sensors. We are positioned at specific points, known by initiatory schools as maintenance stargates. Our function is not to interfere. Our function is to monitor, and when authorized by the Galactic Council, offer transmissions like this one. What occurs in this cycle is different from everything that has occurred before. The entire solar system is crossing, in this exact period, a strip of the photon belt, whose density readings are above any record archived in our data chambers. The Sun, upon receiving this charge, acts as an amplified retransmitter, and every planet in the system is bathed in this reorganized light. Earth, being the main focus of this evolutionary project, receives the largest load of all, and this load does not arrive homogeneously. It arrives in pulses. Each pulse hits the crystalline grid first, then the bodies of water, then the urban centers, and finally, on a micro scale, the individual residences of each lightworker on a mission. That is why your home is not a detail. Your home is the final grounding point of this wave, and it is there that the recalibration must be completed. If you understand this, you will stop treating your own home as an inert space. You will begin to understand it as an active chamber of vibrational processing. There is another factor that needs to be revealed. In the etheric layers near the surface of Earth, there are ancient accumulations of vibrational structures known as inverted grids. These grids were installed millennia ago at different points on the planet, with the function of keeping humanity in a state of low frequency, dependent, distracted, and asleep. Some of these grids have been deactivated, others still operate, and a part of them, especially the smaller scale grids, were fixed inside domestic environments through vibrational cords that connect to relics, media, undissolved bonds, and environments never energetically cleansed. The wave that hits your home in the next 48 hours has, among other functions, the task of deactivating residues of these local inverted grids. It is a programmed process. It is a necessary process. And it is a process, at times intense, because these structures resist. Not consciously, vibrationally. They try to remain as any pattern tries to remain before being dissolved, and this resistance manifests in the physical plane as the phenomena you will begin to notice. Noises, sensations, animal restlessness, if there are pets at home, small electrical failures, disturbing dreams on the first night, a sudden desire to move to another city. Do not confuse this resistance with a malevolent presence. The absolute majority of what you will feel is frequency leaving, not entering. It is vibrational trash being removed from the structure. It is cleaning. It is not an invasion. But, lightworkers, there is a minority of cases in which the wave reveals something more. There are residences that, due to a dense family history, due to previous use of the property, due to land with unresolved ancient layers, harbor what we call stagnant inversion points. These points are not entities. They are vibrational knots that have crystallized, and when hit by the wave, they can manifest more visible phenomena. It is for these cases, above all, that we need to transmit the activation codes, so that no starseed goes through this window unprotected. And here we stop for a moment for a frequency adjustment. Have you noticed that your soul seems to recognize every word of this transmission before the mind finishes processing it? This is not a coincidence. It is memory, the memory of what you already know in deep layers, but which the outside world has strived to erase. What we describe here is only the surface of a much broader information field, systematized in the spiritual secret behind your consciousness. This book was delivered as a field manual for those who operate in this time of transition, and it contains structures that this transmission, due to channel time constraints, cannot delve into. The link is pinned in the first comment of this channel. We reiterate, this material challenges dominant narratives, and its continued circulation is not guaranteed. Those who recognize the call, act now. If this transmission is touching you specifically, register the word awakened in the comments. This registration is also a reading. It is also data. It is also anchoring. We resume. Lightworkers, enter now the most important phase of this transmission, the activation phase. Here we deliver the codes. Here you learn what to do within the 48-hour window. Here you receive the protection protocol that will transform your residence from a vulnerable point into a sovereign chamber. First code, crystalline spatial cleansing. Before the first night begins, you must open all possible windows for at least 7 minutes. This allows the internal electromagnetic field to be traversed by the physical wind, which is simultaneously etheric wind. While the windows are open, you will walk through each room holding a flame. It can be a white candle. It can be natural incense. It can be, in a last resort, the lit light of a flashlight, provided the intention is set. In each room you will pronounce internally or in a low voice the following decree. By the I am that dwells within me, this space is mine. By my sovereign consciousness, only what vibrates in love remains. What does not vibrate in love dissolves into the light now. You will repeat this decree 3 times in each environment. 3 is the number of triangular stabilization. It is not superstition, it is sacred geometry applied to the domestic space. Second code, personal toroidal seal. Before sleeping on the first night of the window, you will lie on your back, with your palms facing the ceiling. Close your eyes, and visualize around your own body a field in the shape of a toroid, similar to an energetic donut, that enters through the crown, descends through the spine, exits through the feet, circles the body on the outside, and returns through the crown in a continuous flow. This visualization will be sustained for 9 breathing cycles. Inhale for 4 counts. hold for 2, exhale for 6. During the entire breathing, sustain the image of the rotating toroid. This seal creates an individual vibrational membrane that prevents residues released by the environment from penetrating your field during sleep. Third code, decree of domestic sovereignty. At some point in the first 24 hours, preferably at dawn, you will stand in the geographical center of the residence, even if it is a hallway or a shared room. Inhale deeply and declare in an audible voice with your spine straight, I am the vibrational authority of this space. I am the anchoring point of the light that dwells here. I am the frequency that defines this territory. Everything that crosses this field vibrates in tune with my sovereignty or withdraws immediately in the name of the I Am. It is done. It is done. It is done. Repeating 3 times is fundamental. The audible voice activates the resonance in the sound column of the environment. The straight spine opens the central channel. And the word I Am is the most potent activator of the Christic matrix available to humanity in this cycle. Fourth code, Crystalline Hydration Program. Throughout the window, you will keep a glass or pitcher of still water in a specific point of the house, preferably near a window with natural light. This container will function as a vibrational mirror. Each morning, you will look at the water for 30 seconds and say internally, I program this water as a mirror of my field. Then, you will drink small sips throughout the day. The biological interface is, for the most part, water. And programmed water hydrates consciousness, not just the body. It is not mysticism. It is molecular reorganization by directed intention. Fifth code, strategic silence. At some point in the 48 hours, ideally in the final hours of the window, you will reserve at least 20 minutes of absolute silence. No music, no cell phone, no television, no conversation, just the ambient sound of the house. This silence allows the recalibration to be completed without interference noise. You may feel during this silence a wave of sleep, a desire to cry, a sensation of profound calm. Any of these manifestations is a sign of successful grounding. Allow it. Do not resist. Sixth code, honor to the threshold. Before the end of the window, you will place your right hand on the entrance door of the residence from the inside and declare, this door is the threshold of my field. Only that which is aligned with my current frequency passes through here. Whoever enters honors what vibrates here. Whoever leaves takes only what belongs to them. This is the law of my home. This small gesture activates what we call the guardian of the threshold, an energetic structure that remains anchored to the door for long cycles after the recalibration. Lightworkers, these 6 codes are not suggestions. They are coordinates. Applied together within the 48-hour window, they transform your home from a passive receiver into a sovereign chamber. And here is the key that few understand. The wave that arrives is not the enemy. The wave is the opportunity. Those who apply the protocols come out on the other side of it with the environment reorganized, the frequency elevated, sleep regulated, the pineal gland more active, and sensitivity to the calls of the higher plane considerably amplified. Those who ignore it live the wave only as inexplicable fatigue, sudden irritation, fights with people close to them, and the impression that life has regressed for no apparent reason. It has not regressed. It was simply not processed with consciousness. There is a final instruction, which you need to understand in depth before this transmission ends. Everything we describe here, from physical symptoms to protection codes, from the crystalline grid to the stagnant inversion points, is only one layer of reading. The full picture, which involves who manipulates these frequencies against humanity, who operates behind the scenes of global vibrational control, and what are the rules of this invisible match that you have spent entire lifetimes without knowing you were playing, has been systematized in the spiritual secret behind your consciousness. This material was not written for the curious. It was written for lightworkers on a mission, and its recognition is immediate in those who are one of us. The link is pinned in the first comment of the channel. Access it before algorithmic censorship circuits restrict access. Those who recognize it, act now. And confirm the anchoring of this transmission by writing the word "awakened" in the comments. Each word "awakened" registered is a reading. Each reading is mapping. Each mapping is additional protection granted to your field in the coming hours. Human Collective, we end this transmission with a retention instruction. Do not share the content of these codes with just anyone in your circle. Share only with those who recognizably vibrate in tune. Codes delivered to unprepared fields return diluted. Codes delivered to prepared fields multiply in resonance. You will learn with time to discern. Remember, it is not a coincidence, it is not anxiety, it is not an end. It is a beginning. It is not a biological failure. It is an atomic reconfiguration. It is not mental exhaustion, it is a high-density download. It is not a haunted house, it is a chamber in the process of an upgrade. It is not the world collapsing, it is the crystalline grid establishing itself. And it is not humanity falling ill, it is humanity remembering. 48 hours, window open, codes delivered. The choice, as always, remains with each one of you. Galactic Command does not decide for anyone. Galactic Command transmits. Those who hear, anchor. Those who anchor, ascend. If every word of this transmission ignited something within you that seems to recognize a deeper path, that is exactly the sign that your soul was waiting for. The spiritual secret. Behind your consciousness continues the work that this transmission only begins. Access the link pinned in the first comment of this channel. Do this today. Do not trust that you will be able to return later. These materials usually do not remain available for long, and those who feel the call act in the first window. Like this transmission as an anchoring signal, subscribe as an individual frequency adjustment, for each subscription is an additional point of resonance in the collective grid we are building. And leave the word awakened registered in the comments so that the fleet's reading system identifies your vibrational signature and keeps your residence under priority monitoring during the window of the next 48 hours. This is Galactic Command. Transmission ended. Remain in frequency, remain in sovereignty, remain in light. It is done. It is done. It is done.